Hello everybody, my name is Brian, I'm with Robbins Plumbing, and today we're going to show you how easy it is to change out your Nuvo cartridge filters. So here today we actually have a Nuvo filter, and we are going to be changing out both filters. The tools you're going to need are going to be a Phillips screwdriver, the wrench that came with the system, and a 5-gallon bucket. Let's get started. First things we need to do is actually get the water shut off to the Nuvo. If you have a 3-valve bypass system, great. We strongly recommend it. It allows you to maintain the Nuvo, and or heaven forbid there's ever an issue with the unit, you can actually bypass the unit and still keep water onto your house. If you don't have a bypass system, that's just fine too. You can actually shut the water off to your home, and then you can relieve the pressure pretty easily by using a hose bib or faucet inside. Just turn the water on to relieve any pressure that might be on the system. That will relieve the pressure off the cartridges. If you don't relieve the pressure off the system, off the cartridges, these things will be very difficult to remove. It's like having a giant lock washer on it. The next step is going to be to relieve the pressure off the system. Because I'm utilizing the 3-valve bypass system, all this is actually still under pressure. We're going to do that by turning a plastic screw that's on the back side here, which opens up and lets the excess water and pressure to drain out. Ideally, you want to try and position the bucket so it catches as much of that water as possible. Now that the pressure has been relieved, we're going to grab our removal tool, slide that on, and just simply turn the entire canister to remove it. You're going to want to go kind of slow. This is going to continue to spill water, so you want to have your bucket underneath the unit. And it's got some weight to it as well, so as you're unscrewing it, you want to be ready to catch it, because as soon as those threads release, you've got all the weight in your hands. Here's the old filter. This is the carbon filter side. And as you see, it's actually pretty grody. And I'm gonna hold it next to the new one. You can see the difference. One thing that I always recommend doing, as you can see, the water in here is still kind of dirty, is I'm always gonna wanna rinse this out. So you start with a nice fresh canister. I'm gonna go step outside to do that. I'll be right back. And I'm back. That was fast, wasn't it? All right. First thing we're gonna do is set this on the floor. Now, this side is not directional. It doesn't matter which way you put it in. When you get to the other unit, that one is directional, and we'll cover that as well. You're gonna just simply drop that in. There is a peg on the bottom that you do have to make sure it falls down into. And the nice thing about the clear canister is you can look down there and see, yep, that is not quite on there. So you just kind of wiggle around and you'll know when it drops into place. Same thing, there is a peg on the bottom here. You're going to want to make sure that when you're sliding that in, that you're sliding the peg into the hole in the filter. Make sure that is good and snug. And we're ready to move on to the next one. We've already relieved the pressure, so we don't have to worry about that. We can just literally jump right into it. Now, one thing I would recommend is take this outside to dump the water out, preferably into the grass or rocks or anything like that. There's nothing in the cartridge that's going to harm any of your landscaping. It's completely safe, but there is a chance that if you have some excess of the citrus enzyme in there, it's possible it could actually etch concrete, and maybe even some other finishes as well. Not 100% sure on which ones it will or won't. So to be safe, we always like to just make sure we dump it in a safe location. And I'll be right back. Alrighty, we're back. I've cleaned out the filter and I've gotten rid of the old cartridge. Let me show you what that cartridge looks like. It is very different. This one actually is the new one. You can't tell the difference between the old one and the new one. This still stays pretty white because it's already been pre-filtered a little bit. Now, one thing that is very important, actually two things that are very important. Pro tip, take the plastic off of both of them. Believe it or not, we've had lots of customers change them out and forget to take the plastic off, and we come out and they feel kind of embarrassed. So make sure you take that plastic off. And this one is directional. It will actually tell you on the canister and on the packaging which side is up. And if you forgot to look at the packaging or not having a hard time finding it, the holes, they go on top. This just drops right in. Once again, make sure it falls down onto that peg. And let's just slide this on as well. Now, you don't want to start wrenching on these things super tight right off the bat. Get them just good and tight or very snug, however you want to look at that. We'll restore the water, check it. If you got to tighten them up a little bit more, that's not a problem, but you don't want to put too much tension on those threads for no reason. So we're just going to simply start by slowly turning the water on. I'm going to make sure my bypass or my air relief is closed. And just let it feel nice and slow. You don't want to just slam that valve on. If there's any weak points anywhere, you run the risk of creating a water hammer, which could cause some damage. So just be patient and let it fill up good and slow. And you'll actually know when it gets up to full pressure, because that hissing sound that you hear right now, that will actually change and eventually stop. And when it stops, you know you're up to full pressure. All right, water's all the way on. Just gonna dry up the canisters. That way we can double check and make sure we don't need to snug them up a little bit more. So when you're looking for leaks, you wanna look around the bottom edge all the way around right here. If you see any water pulling up or any drips coming down, just give that a little extra snug. You should be good to go. It shouldn't take too much more if it is any water coming out at this point. You also want to make sure to turn the bypass back off, otherwise water is just going to continue to go through that bypass and you're not utilizing your Nuvo. Turn that back on as well to restore water to the house. And you have filtered water going to your home again. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call. We can be reached at 623-486-4657 or at robinsplumbing.com. Thank you and have a great day.